Hey, how's everyone doing? Today I'm going to be showing you how to complete the Toten Easter egg solo and co-op. This Easter egg is super simple leading up to the boss fight, but the ending fight is, believe it or not, pretty difficult, so I'll do my best to get you as set up as possible wherever and whenever I can. So let's just jump right into it. Starting in the menu, we need to go over a class setup, and starting with the weapon, I recommend the Gallo SA-12 shotgun due to the fact that it's overpowered and pretty much has always been my go-to in zombies. If you have the weapon leveled up and want to use my attachments, then here you go. For the muzzle, I had on the duckbill choke. The barrel had the 23.5-inch cavalry lancer. On the body of the weapon, I had the SWAT 5MW laser sight. For the magazine, I had the Stanag 12 round tube. Finally, equipped to the stock, I had on the marathon stock. For the specialist ability, I recommend bringing in Ether Shroud because it's good for avoiding the possibility of taking it down, and if you don't want to bring in Ether Shroud, I would say bring in Ring of Fire for extra damage output on the boss when we get there. Step 1 of this Easter egg is to both turn on power and activate Pack-a-Punch. Starting on power, follow the in-game prompts down to the power room in the subway station, interact with the power switch, and some fuses will short circuit and pop out to the right. At this point, you'll get another prompt on the map to go to 2 different locations, and upon going to both of those locations, a Tempest will spawn. You need to kill both of these Tempests in the areas for 2 different fuses to drop on the floor. Pick them up and bring them back to where the burnout fuses were and place them in the same spot, then turn on the power again. To get PAP turned on, you need to come to Checkpoint Charlie in the center of the map and interact with the machine. A disciple above it will wake up, and as soon as it starts moving around, you need to kill it. After a couple seconds, everything around you should despawn and the PAP machine will be usable. Step 2 is literally just building Klaus, and to start, you need to get Brain Rot on any weapon and make your way up to room 305 in the hotel. There will be a door that's boarded up inside the room, and you need to get a brain rotted zombie to tear it down. Then you'll just need to run inside and interact with this guy to get Klaus's hands. The second part for Klaus can only be available whenever the first Panzer spawns in. In solo, it's round 10, but in co-op, it could possibly be sooner. You basically just need to kill the Panzer and the battery will drop on the ground. Pick up that part and bring both of the parts down to the safe house next to power. Klaus will be sitting in this chair, interact with him and he'll have some dialogue, then get up. Whenever he does this, there will be a controller that appears in your tactical spot, but it won't stay there forever. It'll only be there until Klaus goes on cooldown, and whenever you activate him again, then the controller will come back. This controller basically just allows you to command him to do certain things for you, and to that extent, I don't really know exactly what he can do, but we will be using the command feature here in a second. At this point, we need to get the Cerberus Wonder Weapon, and there's multiple ways to get it, but I'm gonna go over the short quest to get a free one. When Klaus stands up from building him on step 2, use the controller to command him in front of this locker in the switch control room. When he gets in front of it, he'll bust it open, and inside will be a black light that you need to pick up. Now there's gonna be 3 different locations around the map where you can get a set of 2 different numbers. You need to go to these 3 locations in a specific order because you'll be getting a safe code using that black light. Each of the 3 locations has another 3 different locations in the general area where you can get the 2-digit code to create a full 6-digit code. I made that a little confusing, but basically you need to come to the garment factory first, look on this chalkboard, look above this door, and look next to these stairs. In one of those spots, you'll get a 2-digit number, and by the way, make sure that when you're looking in the spots, the black light is turned on, otherwise you can't see the numbers. Take note of the numbers and then head to the service passage underground. The next 3 locations for the second set of numbers will be on this wall to the left of the passageway, on the same side in the top left of the passageway, and then down the hall on the top right of this blown out wall. Remember those numbers, and the 3rd spot is going to be in the grocery store, and the numbers will either be on this wall to the right of the window, just behind you on this shelf, or in the far back corner of the store on this wall. For the final time, take note of the numbers and run back to where you got the hands for Klaus in the hotel. On the floor, there's going to be a safe, and you need to turn the 3 dials in order from left to right: garment factory, service passage, and the grocery store. It doesn't matter which way you turn the dials, but when you've input the code, there will be a prompt to use the handle. Then it should open with a Cerberus inside that you can pick up. Also, when doing this in solo, zombies won't attack you while you're interacting with the safe. Now we need to to build Klaus's headgear, which will be pretty much used at the end of the Easter egg, but it's just easier to get it now since we have the Cerberus. There are 3 parts and all 3 are super easy to get. The first one can be found by coming up to spawn and shooting this tower with the Cerberus. It'll fall over and a part will fly out of the side onto the ground here. Just go ahead and pick it up. The second part can be found by going into the electronics store on the bottom floor of the spawn building. There's going to be 3 different radios that each have a chance to drop the part when shot at with the Cerberus. The first one can be found just here next to the TV. The next one is in the other room on this desk, and the final one is just to the left of that on this table. The final part can be grabbed by going down to the ghost station on the opposite platform as Mule Kick. This box on the wall when shot at with the Cerberus will drop the final part, and when you get all 3, go over to Klaus and build the headgear directly on him. The final thing we can do with Klaus right now to get him ready for a future step is upgrade him. Klaus has multiple upgrades, but we only need to do the first one, and this is super simple. Head to either side of the death strip next to Pap, and there will be some dig sites. Dig each one of them up for extra things like lethals and tacticals, even salvage, but one of these will have a satellite dish that comes out, and you need to pick that up. Bring it to the garment factory, and there will be an upgrade station in the corner. Place that dish on the upgrade station, and then call in Klaus by using one of his radios on the map, and command him to the garment factory. He needs to get 50 kills before he can actually be upgraded, and you'll know he's ready when the little screen on the top of the station turns from red to green. If he happens to not get 50 kills in one deployment, then that's okay. Just wait for his cooldown to finish and call him in again so he can get the rest of his 50. Whenever the light on the station does turn green, you need to command him in front of the station and he'll get inside of it. A bunch of disciples and zombies will start to spawn, as well as now there will be a timer on your screen. You have to protect him for 1 full minute without letting his health get down to 0. When it's done, he'll get out and now be holding a papped XM4. He needs to be upgraded to this point for a later step, so don't skip over this. It's actually pretty important. So now that we've gotten all that bullshit out of the way, we can finally move on to step 3. After you've upgraded Klaus, if he goes on cooldown again, wait for him to finish and call him again. Command him to this wall inside of the sewer access, and he'll break down this wall. But behind it, there's going to be another wall that you need to melt down. To do this, you need to kill zombies with the Cerberus until one of them drops the Blazer variant. It has a different name when papped, but basically it looks like this and you need to get it. Once you do, come back to the wall and shoot it until it completely melts away. Now you can enter the room, and on the bottom floor, there's going to be a force field around these 2 devices. All you have to do is end the round for the force field to go away, and this is where step 4 starts. For this step, the machine in the center when you get near will dispense 3 empty canisters that you need to pick up, and the machine to the right, you'll need to shoot with the Cerberus, and this can be done with any one of the variants. When you do that, a little door will open, and you can then pick up an end station lure, which will replace your tactical equipment. You now need to go find 3 different essence harvesters around the map and place those empty canisters inside, then throw the lures directly at the harvesters. This has to be thrown super close because once on the ground, it will open up releasing 3 Tempests, and you need to collect the 3 Tempest souls into the harvester. But the souls will not be visibly seen going into the harvester unless the Tempests are close by. If you happen to kill all 3 Tempests and maybe only see 2 souls go into the harvester, then you'll need to grab another end station lure and do this again, but this time you'll only need 1 soul for the harvester to collect all of them. You'll know if you've done it right if the harvester begins to glow, and at this point you can pick up the filled canister and bring it back to the machine you had originally got the empty canister from. A couple quick side notes: when you pick the canister back up, you won't be able to run, but you can still mantle over things, so when you get to the railing in the lab, you can just jump over it to save time. You'll also have to do this 3 times, and there's 7 different locations for the essence harvesters, but of course only 3 will be spawned in. If an end station lure doesn't spawn in after you've done one of the canisters, then it just means you need to flip the round for another end station lure to spawn in. Finally, this step in co-op is slightly different in the sense that when you collect the Tempest souls, you'll have to collect 6 souls per essence harvester. Possibly more, so keep that in mind. I'm not 100% sure because I've only done this in solo. Multiple people can also hold the lures at the same time to make it easier, but now here are the locations for the essence harvesters. There can be one in the West Berlin street pushed up against this guard room. One can be in the destroyed penthouse in the building to the right of spawn. One can be in the East Berlin streets next to Jug. Another can possibly be found on the Korber rooftop next to Speed Cola. One can be in the alley underneath Speed Cola. Another one can be found in the sewer access right outside of the secret secret lab, and the final one can be found in the ghost station near one of the headgear parts. Again, you'll need to do this 3 times, and when you've done that, we can move on to step 5. To start this step, go ahead and call in Klaus. Then run into the switch control room and switch this lever from left to right. Now command Klaus to stand in the center of the tracks on the side of the ghost station furthest away from Mule Kick. He'll walk up and down the track for a second, then the train will come and he'll stop it Spider-Man style. This is why we needed to upgrade Klaus, by the way. But now you need to go inside the train and you'll need to grab 2 different parts. The warhead right here and the key card right here on this chair. But be careful with the key card because there's also intel next to it, so make sure you picked up the right thing before getting off the train. Come back to the secret lab and place down that warhead in the middle of the 3 canisters from earlier. Step 6 is going to start by coming into the safe house and interacting with this computer until you see an image of a satellite. There's going to be another prompt to activate the disruptor satellite, and this is why we needed Klaus's headgear. But before selecting the prompt, let me explain this. Just hold on a second. Upon pressing the button, a couple high-value targets will spawn into the map and you'll receive a prompt on the map as to where they are. Head over to them and there will be a red megaton as well as 2 mimics that have more health than normal. You need to kill all 5 HVTs, and I say 5 because you have to split the megaton first, so that's like 3 in total just on the megaton. But the megaton is the main HVT because as soon as the second half is no longer with us, there will be a 5-minute timer that appears on screen, and if you do not do this next part in time, your whole game will just automatically end. Both halves of the megaton should have dropped some uranium. What you need to do in solo, and I'll explain co-op in a second, is pick up one of those pieces and bring it to a workbench either in the West Berlin streets here or in the East Berlin streets here. When you pick up anything involving uranium in this map, you'll begin to take damage, so keep that in mind. Craft the uranium into this uranium device, then you need to run to the top of the Corber roof and place the device on this zip line. Then you need to go back to the second piece of uranium and do the exact same thing, only this time, take the second uranium device to the opposite side of the zip line in the destroyed penthouse. As soon as you place the second device, they'll both start to move and collide in the center, dropping a cleansed rock, and when they collide, your timer will end. You need to pick up the cleansed rock and bring it down to the secret lab, then place it inside the warhead, but the warhead will only be half full, and I'll get to that in a second. But first, here's how you do it in co-op. Basically, it's the exact same. The only difference is when the megaton dies, 2 people can pick up the uranium and craft it into the device at the same time. But when you go to place them on the zipline, you need to coordinate and place them down on the zipline at the same time. Now going back to the warhead, it's only half full of uranium. You literally just need to flip the round and do the exact same thing, so I'm not going to explain it again, but I will say that instead of going to the computer in the safe house, there's another one inside the tent in the West Berlin streets next to the uranium crafting bench. But also, and this is a huge but, when the final cleansed uranium rock is on the ground and your timer is gone, then leave it there for a little bit, because placing the second piece on the warhead will start the boss fight automatically. So with that being said, get as set up as you possibly can. By this point in the Easter egg, the gallow is useless for the boss fight. Everything is going to be reliant on your Cerberus, so I would say get that to a minimum of tier 2 pap, preferably tier 3 pap. Get all the perks you want, max out your armor to tier 3 armor, and probably the most important thing is getting a death machine score streak because it will for sure fuck the boss up. You're also not going to see it in the gameplay because I kept forgetting to grab one, so I struggled for a bit at first, which sucked because this is probably the hardest boss fight within Cold War, but it's still generally pretty easy to do. Also, lastly, whether you're in co-op or not, if you don't already have a self-revive, get one of those too. Whenever you're ready to start the boss fight, pick up that second cleansed uranium rock and put it within the warhead. At this point, Valentina will come out of a portal and the fight will start. She has 4 different attacks, all of which are easy to avoid, but 2 of them are just really annoying to deal with, and they're like that little kid that asks you if you've got games on your phone.
You got games on your phone?
The first one she can do is fire orangish yellow crystals at you that do a ton of damage, especially to your armor. So if you can find a place to hide, then you're fine, because these crystals also work against her. They'll knock over zombies that are near you, so it also gives you a break from the zombies for a second. The second one she can do is spawn in a ton of the tormentors. If you're not careful, they could all explode next to you, and it's not fun, so just constantly be on the move to avoid these guys. The third attack she can do isn't even really an attack, it's just that she can heal herself by spawning in zombies that float in the air and give her health, so if you see random floating zombies in the air, then take care of those quick, otherwise you'll be fighting her longer than you'd like to. The final attack is a wipe mechanic, and she won't do this until she teleports to the East Berlin streets, and yes, she does teleport, but I'll get into that in a second. This mechanic only works if she can see you, so when you see a blue wispy feature covering your screen, then she's about to attack with this. All you have to do is hide behind something where you can't see her. Basically, in this case, if you can't see her, then she can't see you and you're safe, but while hiding, you still have to protect yourself from the zombies. Each time you damage her to a certain point, she will teleport to a new area, going from the secret lab to the West Berlin streets, then to the East Berlin streets, then the destroyed penthouse, and finally back to the secret lab. Each time she does move, you'll have about 45 seconds to a minute to grab armor or anything else you need, but if you run into the area she's in, then she'll just automatically lock you in that area, so be cautious, but also if you take too long, you'll just be teleported to her anyway. When it comes to damaging her, like I said before, the death machine works wonders here, and it will shred her shield as well as her health, but if you're like me and you didn't have one, then use the Cerberus in its base form because that will do the most damage. I would say run around as much as possible to avoid zombies, but constantly be shooting at her while running to save on time. Anytime you need to hide, do that, and if you run out of ammo, then usually in the area you're in with her, there's an ammo crate nearby if you look around. The last bit of advice I can give is whenever you have Ether Shroud, use it to destroy her shield and then a bit of her health. Whenever Ether Shroud is gone, just kill zombies to get it back as fast as possible. Also, the Cerberus is really good against mini bosses, so they shouldn't be an issue, plus killing those gives you extra ammo. When you've completely killed Valentina, go up to her and interact with her. Then a cutscene will begin to play, but this isn't the end of the Easter egg. When the cutscene is over, you'll be in the secret lab with Klaus and he'll have the warhead. You need to escort him into the dimensional breach in front of you, and after he makes it all the way, then you'll have completed the entire Easter egg and receive a second cutscene. For completing this, you will not receive an achievement, sadly. I want to thank all of you for watching this video, and if I've missed something or you want to give me feedback, then go for it in the comments section. Also, if you've made it this far, then leave a random emoji in the comments. I look forward to seeing from all of you guys. My next Easter egg guide is going to be the Forsaken guide, and I'm looking forward to that one because that was actually my first solo completion of it in that video. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video and have a great rest of your day. Bye.